All right, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack what is honestly the modern workplace's most explosive paradox. We've all seen the headlines, the heated LinkedIn debates, and the corporate mandates. But today we're going to look beneath the surface of the remote work pay debate to reveal what's really driving our decisions. It turns out it's not just about affordability or flexibility. It's about something much, much deeper. Are you ready to take a pay cut to work from home? It's a deceptively simple question, right? But man, it is causing absolute chaos between HR departments and employees globally. For some, being asked this feels like a profound insult. For others, it actually feels like a path to liberation. You see, the willingness to accept or reject a pay cut isn't simply about financial privilege or corporate greed. As we're going to explore, it's deeply tied to our core human psychology. To figure out what's really going on, we aren't just guessing. We are looking at a massive, incredibly robust data set of 1,206 responses. And this isn't just from one country or one demographic. This data spans 82 countries and 18 languages, collected meticulously between 2022 and 2026. So we're getting a truly global, cross-cultural snapshot of exactly how human beings value their time, their work, and their presence.
So this brings us to a seriously fascinating report from SDTEST Insights. What their data reveals is that our gut reaction to remote pay cuts is actually driven by deep-seated psychological value systems. If you're familiar with the spiral dynamics framework, you know these as V-memes. Think of V-memes as different levels of consciousness, or basically lenses through which we view the world. What one value system sees as blatant exploitation, another sees as total life optimization.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the remote work paradox, look at the fierce refusers, the contextual compromisers, the willing acceptors, and finally, wrap up with a new compensation playbook. Let's get right into it.
First up, the fierce refusers, defending power and merit.
Don't frame your cost-cutting as my benefit. This completely captures the inner monologue of the red value system. In spiral dynamics, the red V-meme operates in environments demanding strength, competitive edge, and dominance. Think aggressive sales cultures or high-stakes entrepreneurship. The data shows a really strong positive correlation between red and refusing any pay reduction. Why? Well, because to them, compensation is a baseline acknowledgement of worth. When an employer says, hey, take a pay cut for the privilege of working from home, red hears, we are taking your power and calling it a gift. They refuse the cut not because they're inflexible, but to avoid forced submission.
Then you have this demand, pay me for output, not for where I sit. That brilliantly illustrates the orange value system. Orange thrives in performance-driven organizations like tech and finance, where meritocracy is absolute king. The orange V-meme vehemently rejects pay cuts because location-based pricing violates their core belief in that meritocracy. If an orange employee delivers the exact same phenomenal results from their living room as they do from a corporate cubicle, they expect identical pay, no questions asked. Anything else is viewed as completely arbitrary, illogical discrimination.
Now, what's really wild here is the cognitive dissonance. Just look at these two competing worldviews. What the orange system experiences as arbitrary discrimination, being paid less for the same work just because of location, the turquoise system, which we'll discuss in a minute, actually experiences as liberation. It's the exact same scenario, a remote work pay cut, but the psychological interpretation is literally light years apart. Moving on to our next group, the contextual compromisers. Institutional rules.
Okay, the crucial takeaway here is that the blue value system isn't just being inconsistent, it is highly context-dependent. Look at the data from Europe. In France, where there's a strong cultural emphasis on work-life balance and right-to-disconnect laws, blue accepts a 5% cut as a righteous compromise. Over in the Netherlands, famous for its consensus culture, a 5% cut is totally acceptable for the collective good. But push that to 10%? No way. It violates their boundaries of fairness, so they reject it. Meanwhile, in Germany, which heavily values procedural integrity and duty, a 15% cut is fiercely rejected. To the German blue V-meme, if the duty performed remotely remains a full duty, the compensation must remain full. It's all about institutional righteousness.
Now let's flip to the other side, the willing acceptors, belonging, well-being, and alignment. Here we see the purple value system actually showing a positive correlation with taking a 5% pay reduction. Why? Because purple values tribal belonging above almost everything else. For this group, which might include multi-generational households or people deeply embedded in traditional communities, working from home isn't just about avoiding traffic, it's a vital reintegration with their family and kinship unit.
To purple, commuting is essentially ritual exile. The salary matters far less than the continuity of belonging.
Meanwhile, folks in the green value system willingly accept up to a 10% pay cut. Green operates in environments that emphasize well-being, community, and purpose. Think nonprofits, education, and social enterprises. They're explicitly trading salary for psychological well-being, family time, and a reduced environmental footprint. But the data does warn of a trap here. Green must fiercely guard against self-exploitation. Organizations really have to provide genuine support and not just exploit this mindset for easy cost savings.
Then you've got the complex systems thinkers in the yellow category. For them, taking a pay cut isn't a sacrifice at all. It's an optimization. Yellow operates in complex, knowledge-rich environments where cognitive conditions dictate the quality of work. So a modest pay reduction is perfectly rational if it offsets the cost of annoying office interruptions. They trade income to reduce burnout, maximize their flow state, and achieve total life coherence. They just see pay and place as variables to be balanced.
And at the furthest end of our spectrum, the data reveals a number that just completely blows traditional HR models out of the water: 15%.
For the turquoise value system, this 15% financial reduction is a highly conscious, holistic choice. Turquoise emerges in post-materialist conditions where people prioritize ecological balance and deep spiritual or systemic alignment over material accumulation. Now, they don't reject money, but they definitely reject money as the primary signal of their worth. To turquoise, a 15% cut is a totally worthwhile trade to reclaim their time, their presence, and their harmony with the planet. Which brings us to a new compensation playbook.
So what's the fix? Will HR leaders literally have to redesign their policies to honor this value system fit? If you're dealing with competitive red roles like high-stakes sales, offer full-pay remote work or just don't offer it at all. For your orange tech and finance workers, you've got to defend meritocracy with location-agnostic pay based purely on output. For green, allow voluntary pay flexibility, but back it up with real, systemic support to avoid exploitation. And for blue, you absolutely must segment your policies by regional, cultural, institutional norms.
And for managers and directors on the front lines, you need a massive shift in perspective. If your top performer rejects a cut, don't just assume they're being stubborn or greedy. Diagnose the underlying value system. Recognize that red sees it as power extraction. Watch carefully to ensure your green teams aren't burning out while taking less pay. And understand that your blue employees in Germany aren't being difficult compared to those in France. They are just operating under entirely different rules of institutional integrity. There's a real, absolute danger of translation gaps here. Just imagine an orange HR leader, hyper-focused on merit and cost optimization, designing a policy for a red sales team that's focused on power and status. The HR leader says, hey, we'll offer flexibility with location-adjusted pay. But the red sales team hears, we're cutting your compensation to extract your power. Unless you bridge this psychological divide, a massive talent exodus is absolutely inevitable.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought. The question isn't just whether we should accept or reject a pay cut for remote work. The real question is, what does your value system consider more valuable than currency? Is it power, meritocracy, kinship, deep work, or maybe ecological alignment? Challenge your own career choices and compensation models going forward with this in mind. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep questioning the systems around you.